Hello everybody, welcome back to this new Roblox Studio tutorial, and in today's video we are going to be making a GUI that has a button, and when you click it a frame will basically become visible. And obviously you'll see this in a lot of games such as Pet Sim, or maybe, I don't know, all of your favourite games. They usually have a button where when you click it, it will open GUI. And here is an example that I've just quickly gone unscripted, and when you click the button it shows the frame and it says close, and when you click it again it will go back down. So yeah, let's get straight to the code. Okay, so before we actually start scripting the GUI, we're going to actually have to make it first, which makes sense because we can't just get out of thin air. So we're going to want to go to the Explorer tab and go down until you see Start a GUI, and when you hover over Start a GUI you'll see something, you'll see the plus, and you're going to want to click on that and it will show you everything you can add inside of the Start a GUI. What we're going to be adding is something called Screen GUI, which is basically just the player's user interface basically. So we're going to be wanting to press the plus again while hovering over Screen GUI, and as you can see now we have a lot of other different things we can choose from. And today we're going to be wanting to use the frame and the text button, so we're going to add that to my game. And what you want to do is scale it out using these. So now we have a frame, we're obviously going to need a button to open and close it. So we're going to go back and press the plus, and we're going to grab a text button. Also, you don't have to use a text button. You can also use a image button, which I cannot find. Where'd it go? If I just type that in, image button, which is basically the same thing, works exactly the same, just with an image, and you can put anything you want on there. Okay, so we're gonna go and scale this to my liking. So once you get it all perfect, just do this, and yeah, this looks okay. Okay, before we start coding or anything, it's always good to be renaming stuff. Right now I do not have the properties open, so if you don't have the properties open, just go to view and click properties, and this will show, basically it's just the properties of what you're selecting. So literally you can change, like text button, you can change the font, the text, frame, etc. Anyway, let's carry on. So we're going to be naming our Screen GUI. You can name it to what you want, but I suggest just for this tutorial, I'm not going to suggest you to do anything, because you might make it into a shop GUI as well. I'm just going to call it a button GUI, and this is just the name, doesn't matter. And then for our frame, I'm going to call this main frame, because we might have different frames. I don't know. You don't know what you're going to have, so we're just going to name it. And you can call this button, which I am going to do because this is going to be it. Or you can call it open button or main button, it doesn't matter. Make sure to change it in your script though, otherwise your script will not know what it means. So now we have our little basic GUI. If you want to go and change this button, and it looks really ugly right now, it has a really bad font, all you need to do is go down to the properties, and as you can see it says text size, text color, text, and you should be able to find font face, and you can literally change it to what you want. So you can have it like that, you can have it a cartoony, and obviously it is quite small, so just press text scale to scale it up, and now you see we have like a big button like that. Okay, so now that's the base of our whole GUI finished, we're gonna go on to the scripting. Okay, so first, obviously, we're going to want to actually insert the script, because we don't have a script, we can't really do it. So just press the plus, and we're going to want a local script. You may be confused of why we're not using a script. Well, a script is basically used for the server, which means everyone can see it. And because you want this so only your player can see what they're opening and closing, you would use a local script, because that is only local to the player. So that means it's basically a script that will only be on that player's computer. So it's different to everyone, okay? So just remember that next time you code, because there are differences between local scripts and scripts. So make sure not to mess up. Okay, so beginning with our script, we're going to want to add a few variables before we start. Basically, a variable is something that holds data or a value. This data could be anything you want. It can literally be anything. Also, the variable name can be anything you want. So, obviously, I could make my own variable name up called banana, and the actual value will be the base plate. And this doesn't matter. Also, a good thing about variables is that in your code, you don't want to keep on repeating game.workspace.baseplate. It's just too much sometimes. Obviously, if you had something bigger than that, like maybe like game.workspace, I don't know, maybe just make it bigger. Just find first child baseplate. This is quite long and you don't want to keep on repeating this in your code. So all you can do now is, because you've defined it with your variable, you could just put banana, and that is literally just linking. It is exactly the same to game.workspace, find first child, baseplate. They are exactly the same. And I definitely would not suggest having the same variable, like having banana. You're just going to cause errors in your code. So make sure they are different, because that is a big problem if you do not. Anyway, let's continue on with our actual GUI thing, because I don't want to get carried away and keep on talking about variables. Okay, so continuing from our GUI script, we're going to start with the words local, and remember this is a variable, so you can change this to whatever you want. I'm going to call this GUI, and this is going to be the script's parent. And if you don't know what that is, basically, as you can see, we have the button GUI, which we're trying to locate right now. And as you can see, the button GUI holds loads of things. So the local script, the frame, and the button. And basically, everything in here is its children. So these are all its children. So if you think about it, the other way around, this would be its parent. So we're just getting the script's parent, which is the GUI. So that's nice and easy. Next, because we have the GUI, we don't have to say script.parent to get the button. So we don't have to do that. That's the good thing about variables. All we need to say is local button equals GUI dot button, which is the thing we named. Remember, you can name this to what you want. So if it's called something different, remember to actually put the right name in. Otherwise, it will not work. Yeah, so this is now getting our button. We're defining our button now. I'm going to want to define one more thing, and this is the main frame. I'm going to call this local main frame. Okay, so our main frame is going to equal, if I can not get this stupid AI Roblox thing to disrupt my coding business. I don't know why, but it really gets on my nerves. I might turn it off. Anyway, carrying on. We're going to want to put GUI, because it is in our GUI, and main frame. And now we've got all our variables that we're going to need. Okay, so carrying on to our next bit of the script, we're going to make a function, and we're going to call this, let's say, onClick. And all this is going to do, this is going to be called every time we click the button. Okay, so what we're going to be using is an if statement, and we're going to be checking if the main frame, which is our frame here, isn't visible and we click the button, then it will obviously be visible. So what we're going to be putting is if main frame dot visible equals 2, and you may be wondering, why are we not using 1 equal? Well, if we do that, I'm trying not to get the AI thing right now, because it keeps on doing that, and it's going to show a whole quick version of the code, and I want to try and actually teach you word for word, because this, basically, you're setting it to that. So you're setting it to a value like we're doing here. So a variable equals 2. It's not saying if it is equal. It basically double equals mean if it's is equal to, not equal to. So you're adding an is onto that. I don't know how else to explain it, but that is pretty simple, a simple way of explaining it. So if this isn't visible, so if this equals 2, false, then you can just press enter and it will autofill then now. Then the main frame dot visible is going to equal to true. And now when we click, if I show you, actually before you do that, make sure that your main frame is actually invisible. You can't see it because it won't work, because you're saying if it is. Also, it won't work either because we haven't actually called the function. So make sure we've actually got to do that. That would make sense. So to call the function, all we're going to have to do is put button dot mouse button 1 down, and what that all that is click when it's clicked, and we're going to connect to the on click function. So when this button is clicked, we're going to do everything here. Okay, so now if I press play, oh, I forgot again. Make sure to set this to non-visible to invisible. And now if I press play, when I press this button, it should, as you can see, it will do that. Obviously, it's not working because obviously we haven't set the next part. We haven't made the next part, which we'll do now. Okay, so if the main frame isn't visible, then we'll make it visible. Now we also want the button to say closed. Okay, carrying on, we're gonna now, when it's clicked again, so obviously when you click it again, it should go invisible. So obviously we've said if the main frame is visible, blah blah blah. Now we need to do, you'd think we had to do if main frame visible equals to true this time, but no. Roblox has this thing called else, or Lua should I say, has something called else, and this is basically the complete opposite. So else, which means if main frame visible equals true, then yeah, so else, and then we can just put main frame dot visible equals false. And now it's kind of in a loop now, because if you think about it, so when we click the button, it's checking if it is false, if it's not visible, right? And if it's not visible, then we'll check it to true. But if it is visible, because we're using this line of code in this by using the else, because it's saying else if the main frame is true, because it's doing the opposite, we're going to set it to false. And then when we click it again, it's going to check if it's false. If it's false, obviously it loops over and over. So now if we click, we press play, and now if I press the button, as you can see, it opens, and when I click it again, it's gone. So yeah, that's pretty simple. One more thing, if you want it to actually display it saying open and close, that is really easy. All we're going to have to do is just change this first. So go down into your properties tab, and just call it open. We'll just put the text to open. That's what we're going to do. And now in our script, we're going to make it so it says close. So if it's not visible, so when we open it, the button dot text, remember this is in our property, so we're just getting the properties like we did with this main frame dot visible. As you can see, the visible is in the properties here. So if the text is equal, or no, if it's not if anything, so when it's open with the button dot text is going to equal to close, because when we open it, we want it to say close, because when we click it again, it's going to close it. And then we can just copy that, because I'm very lazy and I can't be asked to write it again. And we just change it to open. So when it's open, it's gonna be close. So, and then when we click it again, we're gonna change it to open. So that should just work like that. Very simple. So as you can see, it says open because we've already edited it. When we click it again, it says close, and then close, open, close, open. So that was pretty much it. If you want to actually change all your stuff, remember you can change the color, the text, the font. You can change to whatever you want. You can add a title into your main frame. Make sure you actually add it into your main frame so it will become invisible when you press open and close. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you guys enjoyed watching that video, I would appreciate it a lot if you went ahead and liked and subscribed. We are really close to 500 subscribers as well, so I'm hoping that one day we will get to 500. And yeah, that was pretty much it. So I will see you in the next one.